All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the 14th episode of Beyond the Field podcast. Find it on YouTube, Spotify, Instagram at beyondthefield.pod. Today we have on Mika Petersen, first team All Ivy League player for Brown University this past season. Just to let you guys know, sorry for the past couple of weeks. We haven't, probably 2-3 weeks, we haven't released an episode. I'm going to try to get this one out today, I think, right after we're done recording it, May 30th, just to get back on schedule, get another pod out there for us. Mark and Nico, I want to take a little shout out. They graduated college this past couple weeks, so that's why we were,
No more
falling
class,
behind.
no more homework,
A
nothing.
lot of players we're trying to get in contact with have playoffs going on, so it's been a really busy schedule. You guys have anything to say now
Yeah, a
being
lot
college graduates?
I don't really know. It doesn't really feel any different. I mean, we're just
Yeah.
it's just kind of like we're old now. Like I'm
It's
gonna
not
start
gonna
going to
Mark,
early. I'm
it's
gonna
not gonna
start going to
be
early bird specials and all of that stuff.
it's not gonna hit us until we're home in like September doing the same thing that we've been doing all summer. I think that's when I'm gonna be like, all right, like I haven't done this or like been in this area in like 4 years. So that
Yeah.
would be the weird part, but right now everything's way better now. I mean, like Mark said, no more class. So you just kind of like have your days and you kind of do what
Yeah.
you want. It's great.
Well, yeah, the only thing that's going to be different is the living situation. But honestly, senior year was like the easiest year of all time. Everything was just group projects and presentations and all of that. And it was like you barely had to do any work. It was kind of a breeze, but definitely a
Yeah.
weird feeling being done with school.
Yeah. We got Mika Petersen joining in today. Nico actually recruited Mika probably a couple weeks ago to Elevate, so he is an Elevate athlete. He's a freshman, just finished up his freshman year. He's playing right now in the Coastal Plains League, which is a very good league to be playing in after your freshman year of college. So there's bright things in the future coming for him. We're waiting
Had a
for him
hell
to
of a
join
year.
in now. Yeah, he had a hell of a year. Batted 353 with 15 RBIs, slugged over 400, and only struck out 17 times in 136 plate appearances. So played really well.
He
Looks
was
like he started 33 games. So I don't know how many games Brown played. I don't know if he started every single day, but that's more than probably 75%
he
of
was
the
like
games.
he was like male athlete. He had the male athlete of the year award. He was first team all Ivy player and rookie of the week once. Kid had also had a 20 game hitting streak. You know that?
Wow.
Literally
No,
had a
I
20
didn't see
game hitting
that.
streak as a freshman. Isn't that
So we
wild?
got to talk about that with him too when he gets on.
Yeah, he had a hell of a year. I'm really he's obviously he's a really smart kid, obviously, where he goes to school, but even when I started talking to him about what he wants to do and how he wants to handle things like off the field, like, he he wanted to wait a little bit to see with like the all like when the all Ivy League teams come out, which I thought was pretty cool. He kind of, understood that, he wants to be patient and have, everything that can be promoted about him and everything that can be said about him is kind of there and on paper. And I liked his patience and awareness there. So just in the very, little interactions I've had with him so far, I definitely, he's like all the other guys we have. He's just the right kind of person that, we want to be involved with. So definitely excited to talk to him today.
Yeah,
He
this could be a
he
cool time.
he went to West Hill High School, right? I don't know. Is that the Connecticut one or the
Yeah,
Syracuse one?
I
Connecticut
think
one?
Connecticut. Yeah, he's in the waiting room now, so I'm gonna let him in. We can get this going, um, and we can start hearing a little bit about Micah's story. Micah, how we doing?
Mika.
Good. How are
There he
you?
is. How we
Good.
doing?
Just want to let you know we are recording. We always just let the interviewee join in, start the recording. It's really laid back, super chill, and we just appreciate you coming on. And I'm Paul. I haven't got to talk to you on the phone yet, so this is cool. Mark is NIL director over there, and obviously you've had a few conversations with Mika.
What's up,
So
man? How you doing?
I know you're at the Coastal Plains League right now, so just give us a little day in the life of what's been going on for you after a really successful freshman year season.
Yeah, so far we've played 3 games so far. I've had a couple rainouts, haven't had great weather yet, but um it's been really nice. It's been a nice change of pace from school. It's pretty much been wake up, eat, and then play baseball, which has been really fun. I mean, it definitely, like, don't get me wrong, I like school, but it definitely beats having to go to class uh every day. So
Living the life.
yeah.
Yeah, now you get to experience the part of baseball where it's all baseball, all grind, eat, sleep, breathe, baseball, repeat. It's a fun schedule. I played in the Coastal Plains League, a really good competition. We were talking a little bit before you came on. Like, being there as a freshman is a really, really cool accomplishment because not many freshmen are in that league unless you're high level talent. What team are you playing for right now?
I'm playing for the Holly Springs Salamanders.
Yeah, and that's a cool
Like that.
cool
I like
stadium.
that.
Do you guys still have the bat dog that runs out, grabs the bat, and then brings it back to your dugout?
They were talking about it. We didn't have it last night. Last night we had our first home game, but I think they're planning on doing that still this year, but we didn't have it yesterday.
So tell us, just how was your first year being at Brown? Like, what was it like from your perspective? I know you had a hell of a year, and we can go over, probably run out of breath reading all of the crazy stats and awards you won, but let's hear it from you.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun my first year. Definitely at the beginning there was a little bit of an adjustment period because like, not only playing baseball but also in school. So I had to figure out where all my classes were, figure out how I need to use my time so I could get my homework done,
Get your
get to
routine down.
lift, get to practice. So really working on getting my routine down. And then as far as playing goes, I mean, the first couple weekends were really tough. I mean, we were playing out of conference games, and that was probably some of the best pitching that I had seen in my life. So really kind of getting just thrown in there and having to figure it out over those first couple weekends was really tough to start with. But
It's
then
definitely a big adjustment. 100%.
yeah, but then I settled in after that and had a pretty good season. So
Who was the
Yeah.
toughest school that you faced?
what did you say?
Who was the toughest school that you faced, or like the best arm that you faced at a conference to start the season?
Probably against University of New Orleans. They had a couple lefties that were really tough. I hadn't seen any like real like high level lefties before. Like, most of the time the lefties that I had seen were not too great, but these guys were good. They didn't miss, and we had a tough weekend against University of New Orleans.
So
How do you then go about that, like, as a freshman, and like, you know, like, obviously you didn't let other struggles get to you, but like, what were you saying to yourself in those moments when you're seeing something that you've really never seen before, and like, now you're in college and you're trying to like help this program win? Like, what's like your internal conversations that you're having with yourself, either in games or in between games?
Yeah, for me it was really just like trusting my abilities and not trying to do too much, and really like sticking to what I'm good at. So for me, it was really, I'm not trying to hit home runs, not trying to do too much against these guys, whether it's just getting a bunt down or just putting something in play and seeing if I can do it with my feet. But um our coaches did a good job like preparing us during the week. So we always had a lot of video on these guys. We had a full scouting report, what they like to throw when. So really falling back on that and really trusting myself at the plate.
This is cool because I think you're probably one of the youngest interviewees we've had on here. So it's going to be fun to hear like all of your perspectives, and for the listeners out there who are, you know, probably a lot of high school kids, maybe some college players out there aspiring to, you know, reach some accomplishments that you've already reached as a freshman. Like this is going to be really cool for them to hear. What was like your first differences you've noticed from high school baseball to college baseball? Especially maybe you just referenced the coaching and how you have like a full scouting report before every game. I know that's probably something new for you, but like what has been the main differences you've seen in high school and college baseball?
Just like the speed of the game, like you there's like no time in between pitches for you to like get in your own head. You really just have to clear after every single pitch. If something doesn't go right, you gotta just move on to the next one, because there's so many opportunities during the game for things to go right or wrong. Like during high school, we only played like 20 something games, and now we were playing like nearly 40, and now I've got summer ball afterwards. So like there's just a lot more baseball than there ever was before.
Yeah.
And
100%.
and everything will just speed up on you.
And now you got the summer season, and it's probably the most baseball you've ever played consistently. And it's going to be something that you'll see is probably really good for you in your career. Like you're going to find a rhythm to get into, a routine that you like. And that's something I wanted to ask next, is the routine stuff. Have you seen some crazy routines now that you're in college, or any like pregame rituals or anything in the locker room that would be funny or interesting to share?
No, nothing too crazy, but I mean, we do
Really?
have we have a couple of guys who really like they don't like showing up too early. They almost kind of like the rushing down to the field from the locker room. Like they don't want to be in the locker room for longer than they have to. So they really like just getting to the locker room, throwing their stuff down, and just running down to the field. They're very no nonsense about it.
It's so different than some of the teams I've been on. Some guys just love to lay in the locker room for hours before a game and just lay on their phones, be in the locker room early, take their time getting ready. So I always love hearing like the different locker room traditions. I mean, I know some of our guys get put on their clothes the same way every game, like socks first, sliding shorts, pants, jerseys. So everyone has their routines. Do you have any pregame routines or no?
I mean, for me, I always make sure that I have to warm up the same way every game. Like we do a team warm up, but I end up modifying it myself for what I need. So I feel like our warm up's pretty long. So I have to make sure that I'm ready before games, so that I can perform like I need to.
Definitely, 100%. So going back a little bit, do you want to just take us and the listeners through your recruiting process, being that this is your first year out? How was that going? Were there any other schools you were looking at and all that?
Stealing the questions right out of my mouth, Mark. Stealing the questions. I love it.
So when I was like a junior in high school, like going into my junior year of high school. So that summer I started playing like travel ball for Baseball U Connecticut. And
was that the first summer you played?
Yeah, that was like the first summer I like played like real like travel ball,
Looking
where
to
where it was
play
like
college.
yeah, where where like the focus was recruiting when we were playing. Like before that, I had just played mostly for like my like town legion team and just had fun with
And you
my
played hockey
friends.
too, right?
Yeah. So pretty much until this year, I'd been more focused on hockey than playing baseball.
That's so
Wow.
interesting.
So my junior year, um I had a good junior year in both summer ball and in high school. And then I pretty much from the fall through the winter I played hockey. So I played junior hockey in my town, and so I did that throughout the winter. Then I put together a nice junior season for baseball, and then over the summer I didn't have a ton of looks. I mean, I had talked to Harvard a little. I talked to Seton Hall, but that wasn't really something I was interested in doing. So it went that I didn't get any attention from Brown until my very last summer tournament, and it happened that we were playing in Rhode Island, and they were there to watch, I think, our shortstop that weekend, and they saw me afterwards. They talked to my coach, and got in touch with me. It all happened really fast. So like it was, they talked to me in August, and then like 2 months later, I was on a visit. I was on an unofficial visit to Brown, and then on my ride home, they called me and asked me to commit. So like it all went really quick. It went from having basically nothing at the start of the summer to being committed by the end of the fall.
That's crazy
Wow.
that was the last tournament that you were having for the summer also. And were you catching then, or were you playing outfield then?
I'm playing. I've always played outfield. So
Okay, I don't know why I thought I saw somewhere that it said that you were a catcher. I don't know where that was, I guess.
yeah,
Maybe
I'm a
hockey and
lefty, so it makes it tough. So
I was gonna say I had a bunch of questions about that. I was gonna be like, what? Lefty catcher? Awesome.
yeah.
Bombs.
that is fun. That is a really cool recruitment story. Everyone's recruitment story is different, so hearing everyone's is usually a lot of fun. So obviously, then you end up going to attend Brown, and it's an Ivy League school. How did you find the time and the routines to balance schoolwork and baseball? Like, because obviously you want to keep grinding to become the best baseball player you can be, but Ivy League education. We had Simon Whiteman on the other day, and he was a Yale player, and he was talking to us about the different things he had to do in order to balance academics and baseball. So what did you find in your freshman year that worked for you?
For me this year, it was really about not like wasting my own time. Like I couldn't just like sit down and like do nothing. Like I had to actively be doing something and planning out what I wanted to do for that day or the next day. So I really needed to um like fix how I went about doing my work. So I mean, in high school I wasn't always the most organized. I kind of just like coasted through it and relied on like being smart. And then once I got to Brown, I actually had to come up with like a plan for every day and know that, oh, I have lift at this time, then we have practice at this time. So this gives me X amount of hours to do homework or go to office hours and be ready for class the next day.
Yeah.
All about that routine.
You bring up lifting. This was probably your first like rigorous lifting schedule that you've had, or how was the weight room at Brown?
The weight room at Brown was good. It was very similar to stuff I had done at home. So I started at this place called ATP in Stamford, and
Yeah.
and So I'd started there last January and lifted all the way through the summer up until I went to school. And it was, there were a lot of similarities, and I felt like it kept me strong, it kept me healthy for the most part. And I really enjoyed going to the weight room.
Yeah.
You bring
Mika,
up
ATP is, yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to, because I love shouting these guys out because Mika, I've worked there from time to time as like an intern. I know you told me that you did that as well. But like just like from what I've seen from them, like, and I've said this on here before, it's like the best baseball training that I've really ever seen. And like obviously the guys that come out of there, what they do yields, the results on the field, and yourself included. And what makes them different? Because I think that because I will promote them for free any day of the week because those guys are great over there. They're, on top of them being good at their job, they're also just like incredible people there. So I have a lot of respect for Jake and Brian and everyone over there. But just kind of go into like kind of how they're different from maybe other training services that you've seen, and why what they do in the gym yields results for yourself.
Yeah, I feel like ATP is like really like a community more than anything. And like everybody in there is wanting for the guy next to them to get better. And they're like, they individualize everything for you. So if you need to work on something specific, they will do that for you. And they want to see you succeed. They're not just there to take your money and just throw you on a random program and let you go do it by yourself. They want to do it with you. They like limit the number of people that can be in the gym at a certain time. You have to like set it up on a schedule so that they can walk you through your entire lift. And now they've like added like the ability to use the cages, and for your pitchers you can throw. Like they really make it so that whatever you need to do as far as baseball, you can do it there. And they want to make everything, they want to use all their resources to make everything available for you.
How many people are allowed at a time in the gym?
So typically it's like 5 or 10 sign up slots for like every half hour. So usually you'll have like somewhere between like 10 and 15 people in the gym while you're lifting. So
yeah, that's great.
It's a nice spot too. They have a really nice gym. So
And you're just surrounded by good people who want the best for you. I think that's so important to athletes and just us in general, for everybody, being surrounded in the right environment and the right people. That makes it so much easier for you to be successful and like have the motivation to like keep going on. It's just really important, I think.
Definitely. So now in the Coastal Plains, sorry to cut you off, Mark, what's your living situation right now? Are you with a host family for the first time? Are you living on your own?
Yeah, I have a host family for while I'm down here. It's my first time living with a host family. It's not my first time playing sports away from home, but this is a little bit different. I mean, it's nice. I'm an only child, so they have two kids, 9 and 13. So like getting used to having younger like siblings, like it's been fun so far. I've liked it.
Yeah. What was the other sport you played away from home?
So during COVID, my hockey team, like we moved to Florida for like 2 months. So I lived in Florida during like January and February of 2020. So I just pretty much played hockey down there, did remote school, and then lived with one of my teammates there.
Cool.
That's so interesting. And going back to home life, so you said you were an only child, and correct me if I'm wrong, you mentioned, I saw it somewhere on the Brown Instagram, your grandparents live with you, right? I kind of wanted to ask about that and see how like that how living with, because I also live with my grandma, and I feel like I would be a different person if I didn't live with my grandma. So how has that like kind of helped you as a person? I kind of wanted to ask.
Yeah, when my grandma used to live with us. Now she lives in California. Um, she lives on her family's farm, but um, it's been different from being the youngest person in the house to be surrounded now by and at my host families to now being of the oldest child in the house. And then, I mean, at school, just being surrounded by so many people of similar age to me and seeing what everyone else is doing and having a roommate. And at Brown, you don't get to pick your roommate for your first year. So it's adjusting to what your roommate does and like what he has going on. So it was very different for me from living at home all my life and then kind of getting thrown into it not only at school but now this summer.
Yeah, that's a big part of a transition for a freshman. It's starting to live with new kids that you've never lived with before, sharing a locker room with a bunch of upperclassmen. Was there anything that you learned from upperclassmen or anything that stands out? Maybe did they have I know as a freshman I always had to carry buckets or bags or anything. Did you guys have any of that or no?
Um, Nothing too crazy as far as making us carry stuff. I mean, one thing about our senior classes, they always were working hard. They were down at the field early. They were staying at the field late. I mean, they set a real good example for all of us that if you want to be successful, you got to put in the time and be at the field for as many hours as you can.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. So I'm just looking back at your season this year and I see 353, 33 games played. So how many games did Brown play together? Was it a 50-game season or no?
No, we didn't get to 50 games. We played high 30s. Maybe we played like 38 or 39 games,
Yeah.
something like
So,
that.
so some of the games you weren't playing in, was it days off? Was it the beginning of the season? Like, did you earn a spot in the fall? Like, because sometimes I know you got to come in as a freshman and prove yourself. Obviously you're a recruit and they know what they want you to do, but you got to prove yourself in the fall.
So I earned a spot in the fall. So our first weekend we went to Georgia State and I started at DH. I was hitting second. I had a little bit of a shoulder injury, so I wasn't throwing very much, and I didn't play the field at all until our last four games. Um, but started the season at DH, and then against New Orleans, I played in two of the three games, and then again at Penn State, I played in two of the three games again. And then pretty much after we came back to Providence and we played Bryant at home, I pretty much like solidified my spot. And then once Ivy League play started, I didn't play in our first Ivy League game against Columbia, but after that game, I didn't leave the lineup again. So I played. I had a really good weekend in the two games I played in against Columbia, and I think maybe the weekend before I had started a hitting streak, and I kept that through to like I think our very last game of the season was how long that went.
We were talking about that before you hopped on. I think 20-game hit streak or something right around there. Then one of the next questions I had was, so basically as a student athlete, you have academics, baseball, and social life that you're trying to balance. So what was the social life like at Brown compared to high school? however you want to explain it. I mean, how was the off the field situations where you guys having a lot of group hangout party situations? I know I was a degenerate as a freshman. I probably drank more than I should have. So it's as a freshman, like you have a lot of different things pulling you each way while you're also trying to be successful on the field.
Yeah, so Brown was a much bigger school than my high school, so there were just a lot of people there. I know Brown isn't even a very big college by like regular standards, but it was bigger for me. And then in the fall, we had fun. I mean, we would get together on the weekends, and the fall was fun. But during the spring, we locked it down a little more, and we're really just trying to focus on playing baseball. We would still have fun from time to time, but that was few and far between.
Yeah, maybe after a big sweep or a big series win, that was always our go-to was, meet up at the house. And it seemed like
Yo, Paul,
the rest of the season.
not everyone was just messing around their freshman year, right? Like you were. Maybe he wants to focus on school and baseball and hit 350, right? Not everyone's going out and just getting trashed whenever they wanted to, like you.
Hey, you're right. And I didn't get trashed every time, but there was times during the year where I was like, wow, like I'm away from home for the first time. Like I can go back to the dorm, be by myself or with my roommates and just wreak havoc if we wanted to. It was part of growing up. And now I'm an old man who doesn't even barely drink anymore. And one glass of wine, I feel like I need to lay in bed and think about my life. So
Guys, having glasses of wine.
No, I do. A glass of wine with dinner sometimes is nice, like a nice pasta dish with a glass of wine. Like
Allison's
travel to Italy once and change. But Mika, we always talk about off the field hobbies with our interviewees. I know you mentioned hockey a bunch. Is there anything else that you like to do off the field as like a hobby, or anything else besides baseball that you want people to know about you?
I play a lot of video games, so I would do that a lot. What'd you say?
What games?
Lately I've been playing a lot of Overwatch.
Ooh, that was a good one.
I played a lot of Fortnite during the season. I played a lot. Me, and a couple of my teammates would play. I mean, I brought my PlayStation to school, and our senior class had a house, and they had a big TV that they weren't really using. So I would go hang out in their living room for hours. And
so are you sweaty at Fortnite?
I'm all right.
1v1? I'm trash.
I'm all right. I just played a lot, so I'm probably a lot better than I used to be, but I think it's fun, and I've always liked video games. So
I saw somewhere on your Instagram there was a Star Wars quote also. I was looking and I wrote that down. You into Star Wars too?
Yeah. I'm big into Star Wars. On bus trips I would watch a lot of Star Wars on.
What's your favorite
on the bus or on the
What's your
plane.
favorite movie or show that they've made?
If you had to be a Jedi, which
Jedi? There were two
favorite,
questions just thrown at him right there.
My favorite Star Wars movie is Rogue One. That's my favorite of the Star Wars movies. And then if I were a Jedi, what Jedi would I be? Did you ask?
Yeah.
Probably want to be Mace Windu because he has a cool lightsaber. The purple lightsaber is pretty cool.
Mace Windu is a beast. 100%.
Yeah, so that'd be my pick.
Dude, I agree. I think Rogue One. I'm not a big Star Wars fan. Like I just like I'll watch them whenever they come out. You probably beat me in terms of our fandom, but Rogue One was great, and I think that new Kenobi show that they made, I thought that was one of the better things they made. That was awesome.
That was really good too. I think I've watched that twice now, so it's something that I really like.
Yeah,
was
no,
awesome.
that the Mandalorian. I even watched like the Clone Wars stuff and like the Bad Batch. You ever seen the Bad Batch too?
Yeah, I like the Bad Batch.
The Bad Batch is on. Do you guys know what the Bad Batch is?
I've
I
seen like
don't.
I've seen commercials for it. I never watched
It's
it
just
though.
like the Clone Wars where there's clones, but there's a bad batch of clones who are just essentially on the inside. Like, you know what I mean? Like they're just the bad
Yeah,
batch.
interesting concept.
Yeah,
Um,
me and my dad watched it last summer together. So
cool.
Your
Cool.
dad was I also saw it. He was like you used to hit a lot with him. He used to throw your BP a lot. I saw somewhere somebody asked you on Instagram and you were like, yeah, he's my only BP coach, and you worked closely with him up in high school, right?
yeah, pretty much. I would probably say like 4 days a week at least. We would go and hit BP at my high school or one of the high schools around town or at ATP. And we've I've probably taken thousands and thousands of swings with him. And
So he was a big impact on your game.
yeah, it was great. He always made himself available to throw to me, and couldn't thank him enough. I mean, that's how I got where I am now.
Yeah. Did he play in
100%.
college or high school or?
He actually never played baseball really.
Wow.
He stopped playing baseball during high school. Like he stopped playing baseball his freshman year. He played football and wrestled. And he went to Columbia and played football and wrestled. So baseball was not in his realm of sports.
That's what's cool about baseball. It brings a lot of different people together, and sometimes you don't even have to play it in your younger ages, and it's something that everyone just loves to be around. Who's your favorite MLB team?
Don't really have a specific team, but like by location, it's probably the Yankees because I go to the most games. Probably because it's real close to my house. Like you just hop on a train and 45 minutes, and they drop you off at the stadium. So
Yeah.
And then
in
you're
my
in the
life,
bleachers.
I've probably been to the most Yankee games. So I'm somewhat of a fan, but
Yeah.
mostly
Is
I root
there?
for players. I like
Nothing
Yeah, I
like
was
a
gonna
good
I,
say,
Yankee
yeah,
game.
what players do you like?
I like Otani. I think it's amazing what he does. Like it's just crazy how much power he can produce, and then go out the next day and throw 100. So
No, yeah, it's pretty
Crazy.
stupid. I two-wayed basically. I say I two-wayed, but my freshman year at Iona, I did it for the fall, and it was the hardest thing ever. Like you're throwing a bullpen, you're getting there early to do all your stretching, throwing a bullpen, then you're going to hit BP, then you're going to run bases, then you're going to take ground balls, and I'm like, this guy has been doing that his entire life at the highest level possible. Like I don't even understand his freak abilities sometimes.
Machine.
But do you have
Yeah.
anyone that you think you've modeled your game behind a little bit as you continue to grow into the player that you want to be?
Not really. There's not anyone specifically. I mean, definitely this year I tried to play like myself. I wasn't trying to do anything different. I knew what my skill set was. I know that I'm fast and that I'm gonna have to use that to be successful. So like this year I probably had 12 or 15 bunt hits during the season, and then just using my speed to my advantage. That was my biggest thing.
Yeah, we had a kid on our team this year, Drew Earhart, who just I don't even know how many bunt hits he had, and it was just so fun to watch.
Can you go in just a little bit for our younger viewers who think that hitting bombs is the only way that you're going to be good at baseball? Can you just go into how important it is to be able to lay down a bunt when you need to be able to?
It's true.
Yeah. So for me, like, I mean, my coach said it best. Like when I would get to the plate, it'd be that everyone in the infield would tense up. So they would all be creeping in. They'd be the middle infielders would be sliding towards the corners to try to help back up their corner guys. The corner guys they'd be creeping in, they'd be scared that a bunt was going to come to them. And then when I did end up swinging, I'd have giant holes in the infield that I was able to use. And even I would say the threat of a bunt was just as effective as actual bunting.
Yep. It shifts the whole
100%.
field and it opens up a bunch of holes, like you said. Very, very
And
cool.
just
So
being able to get it down when there's a guy on first with no outs, it's huge. And I feel like kids now, or younger kids, I mean, me specifically, I used to bunt a lot, but they don't really notice that being able to get it down so that you can move the runner over, so that you could get him over on the next, it's all.
yeah.
So
Mika, just to let you know, how we finish up every episode is we do a scratch off with our interviewees. Hopefully, we end up winning big one time and we get to bless our interviewees for coming on with a $1 million scratch off. But usually during this time, if you have any questions for us, if you want to, say anything about Elevate, like we kind of just bullshit a little bit here at the end. If you have anything that you want us to know while you have us here face to face, just as I scratch this off, Mark or Nico, if you guys have any last questions too. Maybe not.
I'm all set. This is good. I think, Mika, just so you know, the whole point of this podcast is like for us to, get a little bit more out of our guys and just like the fact that, like you hit 350, you were first team all Ivy, but like at the end of the day, there's like so much more about you than just baseball. And it's weird to think about because it takes up so much of your time, right? Like you just played like a 30 game a college baseball season, and now like you're down south playing, more baseball like right after your season. And so this is always really good to catch up with our guys and just hear like a little bit more about them as people, and then for you to also get yourself out there to the audiences that we can reach.
I have no idea where I've been buying these scratch offs because once again we have a dud, we have a loser. I think we've only won like $3 or $4 from all of our scratch offs so far, Mika. So I'm sorry we couldn't bless you with $1 million winner. We really appreciate you coming on today. And hopefully, later down the season or when you start getting ready for next season, we'll have you on again whenever you want. You're invited back on, and we're going to keep doing our work on our side of Elevate to keep helping you in your career.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me on. It was a good time, and looking forward to continue working with you guys.